Thank you very much for taking the time to speaking with me today. So this is your first feature, I understand. Can you tell us why did it all start? Did it develop from your short films already a similar idea? Or was it, no, this was a concrete idea for your first short film?
Ideas come from a very intuitive perspective and position. So for me, it's kind of working without having an agenda. So I'm just starting to work, and there's certain topics that, touch my private and personal life. And, then you just have to think about it all the time. And that's where ideas come from. And then you're professionally a filmmaker. So you have the hope of somehow, combining the struggles you have in real life with also your work, because in the end you hope that you can do some cultural work with it, with what you experience in your private life.
Say you're drawing from your own personal experience, but how did you decide to have a young woman as your protagonist? Because I feel there's a little bit of a danger that having a beautiful woman portraying it, there's also this romanticization.
Yeah, 100%. This was the biggest risk I could take, was this kind of narrative and positioning like this. And to be fair and to be personally honest, I think Luisa Gaffron as a main actress is very known in German language area, but not very known in Austrian cinema culture. And she doesn't fulfill, sorry to say, this typical normalized beauty standards of German cinema, I would say, they all look kind of different, and she's a person with a very huge agenda as an artist and as a personal cultural worker. So, the classical normative standard would be, the manic pixie dream girl, which she doesn't is at all. And that's why I was pretty sure that I want to work with her, because she can, compete against any agenda that I possibly would have, The first thing of this whole project was the idea that I wanted to work with her because I felt where she is at, what kind of values she shares, So I thought, okay, if I'm ever going to make a film, then I have to make it with people who can compete against maybe normative structures, maybe my own gender, So I wanted to make sure that there are people there who can also say no to me.
What would you say was the driving force behind all of these genre mixes? Did you have that in mind before the theme of mental illness entered the picture? Or did you say in order to be respectful to the experience of?
Very much correlates, with the experience of, being a human being in our digital age, because we are very much, interconnected with the secondary reality of, the digital world we all have on our cell phones. And in this digital world, there are juxtaposing realities, you're always constantly challenged by who tells the truth, and that's what you see in the world at the moment, in the second where the right-wing extremist fascists tried to take over, the first thing they did was trying to change the narrative of speech in the internet. And they did it because so they can, control narratives of reality. And that's something which is something I felt. And that's why I made this film in this way, where you have juxtaposing realities.
The film references you had in there.
Yes.
Were these films, I guess it's always difficult to say because obviously they come from you as a director, but were you also careful to make sure that they had a meaning to the character as well?
The core idea was to, portray somebody who has a psychotic experience of life. And if you have a psychotic experience, then, the inner and the outer, the secondary realities and the real world, they all collapse into each other. So they somehow feel detached by reality and somehow feel like being in a movie. So that was the first idea to, work from the stories people told me that have this kind of experiences, So I thought, okay, somehow everybody knows it sometimes when you switch on the television or you hear lyrics, then they suddenly feel like they're talking about you, That's something everybody knows. But if you have a psychotic episode, this takes over, like this takes over control. And I felt that this correlates with how I felt in this internet digital age. So I thought, okay, this is the core narrative. And of course, this very much looks film bro-y, and I get the critique, like this is just, a reference film, but it comes actually from the idea to really depict somebody who has a psychotic vision, manic psychotic vision of the world,
Absolutely, but I like this idea that it's not. It is also film references that are international, like Men in Black agencies.
Exactly.
But also with Harald Katzenzer, the Austrian Tatort.
Yeah, exactly. One of my core inspirations was the life of Daniel Johnston, who is like an indie musician who was very well known in the American fields in the 90s, and he had like a very tragic life because he had to move into his basement with his parents again, and he built this kind of like mythological world out of his like psychotic vision of the world, and this was almost feeling like a mash-up Avengers film, so where every like Spider-Man is there and also Captain America, and they all have to compete. And in his perspective of life, it was also like his ex-girlfriend who he fell in love with in his high school, and he was like 40 and he was stuck in his own vision and living in his basement of the parents, still making the most tragic songs about his high school love. And this very touched me in a way, and I thought, okay, how would this kind of mythological Avengers world look in Austria? So I wanted to make Austrian Avengers, Who is there if there's Austrian Avengers? Of course, there has to be, Harald Krasnitzer as the Tatort Kommissar. He has to just appear there and try to solve the mystery of her, not being able to solve it herself, they're all, that's something a lot of people experience, be it relatives or be it yourself, you always have to solve the problem of being, out of context in your whole life, and so I thought, okay, there has to be the Tatort Kommissare trying to solve it, and it's the only episode of Tatort where they don't find, the murder. So I thought, okay, what can be the most extreme thing in the television context is to make a crime side quest where they don't find the murder. Because this is like the biggest rule to... Have you ever seen a Tatort where they don't find the murder? I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure there is one, but it's very... You cannot do it, You simply cannot do it. You cannot just end the episode without, oh, sorry, we didn't find the... So I thought, okay, yeah.
And how does Ed Sheeran play into all of this?
Yeah, have you ever seen Ghostbusters 1? There's this one, I thought Ed Sheeran is a very controversial person, especially in the edgy art field, because this commercial is mainstream, but he still is a genius, and for example, he wrote songs for Justin Bieber that he's just a very brilliant musician. And I thought, okay, her ex-boyfriend is also a musician who could be the nicest and best musician you can meet, and that's how she made up this character,
I heard there was this funny story how you discovered the actor.
Yeah, I found him because there were mass panics. He's actually a street cleaner in Manchester, and I found him because I saw articles online where there was mass panics at football stadiums because everybody thought there's Ed Sheeran there, and it's just this guy, and he's very humble about it. It's just his life, everybody thinks he is this guy, So I thought, okay, this is very odd in a way and also very cute, and it just fitted this whole universe a little bit.
Where was the film shot? Because I actually didn't recognize a lot of places.
Yeah, it's very Viennese, it's like very specific places from Vienna, like the Café Europa is probably everybody recognizes it if they say it first because it's like one of the most important, Viennese anxiety places. If you want to depict Viennese anxiety, which is a thing, then you have to go to Café Europa.
Still, I feel it was, probably for insiders, as you say, but for somebody who's been to Vienna a couple of times, it wasn't immediately recognizable.
Yeah.
There's even this joke on, the Stephansdom looks very different.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's a Ösikor. I call it myself Ösikor. It looks very international, but it's made for Austria, actually. Yeah, I thought that's necessary to have also grassroots filmmaking that refers to Austria, and I'm deeply sorry if somebody felt excluded of it, you know, like, because that was not the intention. It was to make it look international, but unfortunately you can only get it real when you're from Vienna.
But that's an interesting point. What do you think? Because it's a world premiere, right, in Berlin. And then you premiere in Austria.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
So you're kind of testing it on international audiences.
No, there would have been, you know, like Berlin is the best place for this film that could have ever, you know, like there wouldn't be any other place in the world where this would be so much understand, you know. I mean, of course, everybody wants to make art that is understandable for everyone, you know. But at the time being, I thought, okay, maybe I want to make something that is like especially made for German language area, you know.
But you're still considering the Austrian audience, your target audience, right?
Very much, you know, like, because also in the decisions of the music, you know, this is something that a lot of people have relations to from Austria, for example. So I was like very much targeting it for the Austrians.
But what do you hope audiences will take away from this film?
Yes, I want to take you away. Please have a nice time in your life. It gets tough out there. It's all very challenging. So let's have a nice time together with each other. Yes.
Thank you so much.